Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Good evening and welcome to Plank of the Week, the one show where we do all the judging, so you don't have to worry about being judgmental about anybody whatsoever. We've got Jeremy Kyle, we've got James Whale, MBE, I think you'll find. We've got Russell Quirk, and we've got Samara Gill as well. Let's kick things off with the Prime Minister.
This is pure socialism with no plan. This is made up on the hoof. This is reactive, not proactive. I think he's out of his depth. I think that we are seriously in big trouble. Genuinely mean that.
One question. You do the things he's done, like you take away the money from the pensioners.
Yeah.
Then you give people who are quite well paid, like the train drivers,
Oh, they're
more
not
money.
well paid. They only get 81 grand a week for a four-day week.
Sorry.
Or is it a month?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Then you open up and you give the money to all the unions who are asking for it. Then you say there's a £22 billion hole. Then you give away money to China and India and various other countries.
And the Chagos Islands.
Then you give them away.
Yeah,
then you give £500 million to farmers in Africa and take money away from our farmers. They can't really be trusted, can they?
They really can't. But listen, this also had a big effect on the sort of the people inside of Downing Street, because they can see if this is happening, if there's 2.7 or 3 million people who really want another election because they say they were duped, they were promised something that didn't happen. They thought we better have some kind of strategy here, so we better get him out and about talking to somebody so that he can give his side of the story. So they chose a very, very hard-hitting interviewer with which to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, may I present Andy Peters.
Your approval rating is lower than Nigel Farage's right now, which even saying it to the Prime Minister of the country I live in, that I pay tax in, to say your approval rate is lower than Nigel Farage, that's disappointing.
Your approval rating is lower than Nigel Farage. I pay tax in a country where Nigel Farage... So you're basically pointing out exactly what most of us think, that most of the media are so obsessed with people like Starmer.
Yeah.
Totally out of his depth, completely incapable of answering a question, looks to me already, Kev said it to us earlier, like he's not liking it. I think, I'm not saying this will work, but it is the beginning after 20 weeks of the end, 100%.
It's testimony to the way he's feigning, isn't it? That he's head of communications, no doubt, gone around the media and said, look, the only way that this guy now is going to be interviewed is if it's by ex-children's TV entertainers.
And on the day as well that
Won't he come on with us?
We came back. he came back from the weekend, having
Wherever
been away,
he'd been.
wherever he was. I think he was in South America or something again, wasn't he? And terrible floods all over Wales. Now, you would think that the Prime Minister might, in fact, decided to go and visit the people of Wales and say, we're doing all we can, we're terribly sorry, blah, blah, blah. No, he hid out in Downing Street and he had a summit instead, right? Because he wanted to make it illegal to spike people's drinks. Well, guess what? It's already illegal to spike people's drinks, and people pointed it out to him. He put out a tweet in which he said, my government was elected to take back our streets, right? Central to this mission is making sure that women and girls can feel safe at night. He seems to have forgotten that it's not just inside bars that women and girls don't feel safe. And Twitter has given him a community note to correct him, to say, you complete and utter plonker, it's already illegal to spike people's drinks, because it is. So the Prime Minister is now being corrected by Twitter.
And it's almost like it's thought up. We joke about Morgan McSweeney, you know, he's head of communications or chief of staff. It's almost like it's being made up as they go along. Absolutely, spiking is important, but it's already against the law. Perhaps more should be done. But I maintain, and I will maintain this until they drag me out of this studio, that I call them jams, just about managing. The average couple, family, that pay their bills, go to work, never break the law, never ask for jack, are getting 2.7 million and a lot more reforming. Really hacked off with, right? Really hacked off with, why the hell am I 7th in the queue when I'm doing everything by myself that's right?
I couldn't agree more. But why the mainstream media have given in completely to wokeism. You know, they won't dare, although you wonder why Ofcom don't have a go at their impartiality sometimes. But, you know, the media itself, other than stations like this, and there is only this when you think about it, are just sucked in to this feeling.
Well, because they all want to be their friend.
But they're all left-leaning. They support him.
Rachel Reeves was answering questions.
Rachel Thieves.
Did you hear her voice quiver when she was answering them?
I know. Well, I'm glad you mentioned Rachel Thieves, because she only just a few hours ago actually answered a question about her CV and the lies contained therein. Have a look.
But what do you say about the fact there was a change made to the profile and it now says retail banking, it once said economist? Just explain that.
Well, I'm an economist. I studied economics. I got a master's in economics from the London School of Economics.
But it was changed, wasn't it, the profile?
Well, I worked as an economist. That is my profession. I am an economist.
So apparently she was an economist.
Hang on, I got an English GCSE. It doesn't make me William
Take
Shakespeare.
a shot every time that woman says economist.
Yeah, the question, there should be a bell that goes
What
off.
is an economist?
The question,
What does
right,
it mean?
was what about the fact that you changed the description of your CV on LinkedIn, which she did do because when she worked in retail banking, i.e. when she worked in the complaints
Is
department...
that like, I'll give you a £5 to buy some tights?
Yeah.
Is that what that is?
Halifax, something like that.
Yeah.
Halifax Bank of Scotland. And she called herself an economist at the Halifax, but she wasn't. She changed it.
He calls himself a broadcaster, Russell
Yeah.
Quirk.
Don't we all?
A bit like you lot, with no qualifications whatsoever.
None at
Wow.
all.
Yeah, but I failed the
Harsh.
11 plus. I bet you won't pass.
People wouldn't be so pissed off about this if she hadn't tanked the economy. I mean, we literally reported 0.1% growth in the last quarter.
Yeah, exactly.
And the facts don't lie. They actually speak for themselves.
Yeah.
She's basically ruined all business enterprise. Anyone who wants to start a business in Britain is not looking to do that. They're looking to move over to Dubai or one of the other tax havens because Labour has not showed that the country is open for
And
any
the
of
job
that.
losses have started.
And here's the
This week,
interesting thing,
the
you
job
said
losses have
this to me
started.
yesterday. This great ideology of let's screw anybody making a business because they've achieved things and they've got money and we need to give it to the public sector. In 3 years' time, as Russell said to me on my show yesterday, all those people that have given up their businesses and moved away, guess what? They won't be paying bleeding tax anymore, and that's going to affect the exchequer, right?
Today's
thing
news
will change everything. And I'm not suggesting for 1 minute you do this. I'm not promoting it in any way. But the only thing that would change this government is if everybody stayed at home tomorrow.
Yeah.
OK.
I'm not going to do that.
Tomorrow's Saturday, forget it. On a weekday.
I'll tell you what, he might be ill, but he's managed to do that seamlessly.
Yeah,
Tomorrow's Saturday.
If everybody stopped working...
Well, national strike you're talking about.
They would have to do
National
something.
strike, yeah. I mean, I wish
Like
the
the
government would go
poll
on
tax.
strike and just not do anything for a while and give us all a bit of a break. But this week's great news, of course, is that the non-doms who they're trying to chase for money are all leaving the country.
Yeah.
So they're actually not going to get any extra money out of them. They're going to miss out on about £6 billion that they could have had in tax,
But
which
who
these
would
people
wanna
are
live
now...
somewhere else than this?
Well, I mean, apparently you can go and live in Italy and you only pay a maximum of £100,000 in tax, no matter what money you make.
Yeah.
Now, do you want to move to Italy?
No.
James, over to you with the BBC. Huw Edwards, of course, we found out this week, not only was paid a pay rise after he was suspended, but they also paid for his treatment to recover from whatever
When
it
you
was.
say
that was
they...
The BBC.
You mean we?
Well, us,
we.
yeah.
Yeah, we.
Yeah,
What
but
message,
they thought it was a great idea.
what message does that send?
I mean, it's
really?
a guy who's on over £500,000 a year. Why could he not pay for his own therapy?
Yep.
You know, considering that he's a paedophile and all that.
Did he, sorry, I'm going to get fired. Did he really need therapy? Because if he hadn't been caught, would he be in the priority?
He'd still be reading the news.
It's absolutely
No, he'd still be reading the
disgusting.
news, wouldn't he?
It's great, isn't it? We live in a country where you can be jailed for
But, you know, the
15
good
months
thing-
for writing something, but he can be free.
But the good thing about the good thing about the BBC is they always hire people who've got great judgment. Okay,
Right.
Have a look at this. This is John Sopel.
We now know there was no illegality. So what are you left with? Someone's private life has come under scrutiny, who is now unwell. I think it would be a crying shame if this is the last we see of Huw Edwards on television, when the allegations have turned out to be not that much. And I think all his friends will just be wishing him well at this stage, because Huw commands huge respect in this industry.
Yeah, thanks, John. John Sopel, who now does a podcast, right?
Calm down.
This was, to be fair, I've slightly tricked you there because he said that before the criminal charges were brought.
What did he say afterwards?
But he
Nothing.
even after Huw Edwards was basically suspended because the BBC knew how serious the charges were. It turns out that he still said, "I hope it's not the last we see of Huw Edwards on
So
TV."
just very quickly, has he got any kids? Because I've got 6 well-known
I don't
facts.
know.
If somebody like Huw bloody what's his name is watching photographs of young
John
kids, how can he
Sopel.
say not very important?
yeah.
It's a disgraceful
And
comment.
this is what
he's
they
a bloke
do.
called John Sopel,
Yeah.
who wrote that broadcasting was never the thing I should have gone into, or something like that.
Oh, really?
He's a miserable.
He
to
really
be
is.
quite
He
honest.
gets everything wrong
And
as well.
I would never want to meet him
Can
in
we
person.
also not forget, when it comes to the BBC, that at the point that Huw Edwards apparently said that he was going to plead guilty, so at that point he is guilty,
Yes.
Yeah.
the BBC continued to pay him
Yes,
his salary.
exactly.
They've now asked for it back, of course. That was
And
4
of
months,
course,
5 months ago.
we know from the last
So
time
why-
I bet he hasn't paid it back.
that Tim Davey was in front of the select committee at the House of Parliament that they still hadn't got the money back. And
Why
they-
haven't
never
they
gonna get
sacked
it.
the management? Not only the management of the BBC now, but the management and the boss of the BBC, the last lot, were responsible as well. And they are on huge pensions. So get rid of their pensions.
Well, that's another thing.
And get rid
Huw
of
Edwards.
Get rid of the TV licence.
Huw Edwards will have a huge pension that he'll be getting.
And he will keep that
And he'll
pension.
keep that, absolutely right. Let's also talk about the other story this week. The BBC, in their wisdom, decided to award a woman footballer with the prize of, Woman Footballer of the Year. The only problem is the woman in question might not be a woman.
It's a geezer.
Apparently. Barbra Banda was Banda from an earlier competition, if you don't mind me saying so.
Do you think she's got a lot of band around here?
So she has got a few bands around there because it turns out that she's got a very high testosterone level, which, according to people who know these things, mean that, she cannot be a woman.
Transitioning from one sex to another, I have a friend who's done that and they live quite happily as a woman and you wouldn't know, and that is fine, absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But the trans activists that are making it very difficult and people who refuse to, have a beard, a skirt and bollocks.
Should we not seek guidance from Samara here as the woman on the panel?
No, I'm fuming. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of men taking women's places. That was meant to go to at least someone who had the right hormone levels, someone who actually tested as a woman. And the reason that these awards keep going to men is because they excel in women's sports, because they are biologically male and they are actually, they're superior. I'm sorry, but their muscles, everything.
Did you see the clip, though, of Barbra winning the award with all the women?
Hello, Barbara. Sorry to interrupt your team meeting, everyone, but Barbara, we just wanted to deliver a special award for you. You are the BBC Women's Footballer of the Year 2024! Congratulations!
There you go, mate.
Can I ask, I genuinely mean this, because I was trying to talk
Samara's face, she looks quite shocked.
Samara, I was trying to talk to a woman earlier in the week, because this is what I don't get. I want a female's response to this, OK, if that's all right to call you a woman, right? So I'm actually... No. I'm really into the fact that people protect women's rights. There's one particular person I know, I won't name them, they've gone from being concerned about women's rights, and the minute you talk about the transgender argument, they don't give a toss about women's rights. They're just backing this group of people. I don't understand why, for women, women's rights go out the window when this argument starts. I think J.K. Rowling is the most powerful one.
And do you know what she said about this? She said the BBC might as well have gone round to every woman's house in this country and spat in their faces.
Absolutely.
Well, I just have one question for the audience. Why don't we see men with high estrogen levels winning awards for men's football, OK? Why do we not see that? Why do we not see women winning the men's awards?
And the thing that worries me about this
for
particular kind of development is that it's particularly in some sports, like the boxing at the Olympics, these are dangerous sports, contact sports, rugby is the same, football could be the same.
And did you see the way that woman was after she had a boxing?
These women are far superior physically in terms of their strength levels.
That Italian,
and they can hurt somebody.
Do you remember that Italian boxer who'd trained for, I read this, 11 years and had got to the Olympics and went up against the one from Morocco that apparently wasn't a bloke. And she literally quit on a stool after about 40 seconds.
Because she got hit so hard.
She said, I've never been hit that hard, I couldn't do it. She's trained to be at the Olympics. That's a disgrace.
That was one of the great lines after the Kamala Harris-Donald Trump election, where somebody in America said, that's the hardest a woman's been beaten since the Olympics by a man.
So can we get rid of the BBC and the licence fee? Not the programmes necessarily. I
think we can.
Strictly and Garden.
But make them accountable. Make them sing for their supper.
Yeah, but independent companies now produce programmes and broadcasters put them out. You could have a national broadcasting station. They could have a news
Let them just
channel.
do the news.
They could do educational
If
programmes.
it was any good, you'd pay. If it was any good, you'd pay a subscription.
Exactly.
What would you pay for it?
I know. Anyway, let's move on from the BBC, because Russell's got one of our old favourites.
Yeah, I have Sadiq Khan again.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm afraid it's kind of like Keir Starmer every week.
Me.
Mayor of London.
Yeah, Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, because of his approach to advertising on the Tube bus network. Tell me, with these things that I'm about to produce, whether you think they are banned by TfL as advertisements or not banned by TfL, as in whether they can be advertised or not.
OK.
Olive oil.
Olive oil.
Simple, right?
Surely you can advertise that.
Banned.
Banned. Right. That cost about 20 quid, that bowl.
It was.
I'll be taking that after the show, Russell.
Soy sauce.
Banned.
Surely must be
allowed.
Must be
banned.
Soy sauce.
Yeah, I need some explanation.
Jam must be banned.
Banned.
It's too sweet.
Banned.
British thing ever.
Right.
Fizzy drinks.
Banned.
Banned.
Banned, yeah. Are you going to make something with all these?
Bacon. Yeah,
Banned.
Where's Andy Peters when you need him?
Right, this is an easy one. Eggs.
Eggs can't be banned.
Unless they're fertilised.
You think everything's banned, don't you?
Are
But they are banned. They are banned.
Oh, the eggs are banned?
Nuts. Bit like his policy on TfL advertising.
Not banned.
Depends.
Yeah.
So,
Right, okay.
unsalted, not banned, sorted, banned.
What?
This is ridiculous, isn't it?
Why?
Ready?
I've
You
got them in the same pile, I can't tell.
Cheese.
Oh, banned.
It's not vegan.
You've been
Butter.
busy, haven't you?
Banned.
Oh,
Banned.
Yeah.
Okay. And we all know this one. Cake.
Cake's definitely banned. Yeah.
Right, but guess one thing.
Is that is it all not halal or something?
One thing that is not banned by TfL and Sadiq Khan.
Yeah, go on.
Advertising suicide.
That's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as the person who's about to kill themselves isn't eating a cheese sandwich.
So this is what his crazy, made-up, zany rules say. You can't advertise eggs on a billboard.
You can't have
on
women
the
in
tube.
bikinis either, can you?
No, or
you can't have women in
salted
bikinis.
nuts. No women in bikinis.
Can you have
no
women in
wedding
bikinis
cakes.
munching on mixed nuts?
But suicide advertisements are fine.
So why
Can we,
on
let's have a
earth
look.
does
Hang on.
this great city
Let's have a look at the actual
have a
poster in
pillock
question.
as a mayor?
Here's the poster. It's a bit of a weird one, that.
Yeah,
You don't want to see that on the central line on your way in.
And the rules do say that any advert that is kind of, not decent and not proper and might offend, regardless of the fact that it might not have sugar or salt in it and fat like this stuff here, should not be displayed.
I don't understand where all these posters suddenly came from overnight, but then they got covered over very quickly, didn't they?
By the Samaritans.
By the Samaritans, who seem to think that it would be better to see a poster for the Samaritans rather than to see a poster of somebody who wants to kill themselves.
It was particularly Westminster Tube, apparently, to attract, I guess, MPs that were going into debate and then vote for the assisted dying bill.
I don't know if you guys missed this, but he actually sent a message to Donald Trump, the president-elect of the United States of America. Have a look.
I'd like to use this opportunity today to invite President-elect Trump to next year's Pride in London. I also invite him to attend Friday prayers with me any Friday he wants to come to London.
The Sadiq Khan's version of an apology for allowing that Trump pig to fly the last time he came.
Right, do you know what that is? In Essex, we call that offering someone out. And
Yeah.
Just say, couldn't I come outside?
Yeah.
Didn't look happy to be doing it.
No.
Guys, can I come closer? Can I just say, you, Sadiq Khan, are the most appalling mayor and most appalling person speaking publicly about things I've seen for a long time, and I've been around a long time.
Yeah.
You want to start acting in a more mayoral way, because quite frankly, the way you act at the moment is disgusting.
Yeah, well said. Yes. Well said to James.
So let's just jam and a bus.
So just to recap, he wants him to come to London. He wants him to go to a Pride march, and he wants him to go to a mosque for Friday prayers. I don't think there's much chance of either thing happening.
That sounds like the worst night out ever, in my opinion.
Doesn't sound great.
Better things to do in London.
Spend Friday night in a mosque with Sadiq Khan?
Friday morning, please.
Oh, sorry.
It's morning prayers they want. Anyway, Samara, over to you.
What about with the Jewish community Friday night dinner?
He hasn't mentioned that.
No.
Doesn't like that.
What about the... can we not ban religion?
Well, we could.
Be religious.
Oh, wow, we went there.
It's another show. Samara, let's talk about The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So, look, Wicked has been sort of having its premiere this week. I like to call it the Wizard of Ozempic.
Yes.
They all look about stick thin. They look like little stick insects with a bit of chiffon wrapped around them at the premiere. But basically, Ariana Grande, who's the star of the musical that's come out, has said that her character is gay. And it is part of this wokeification of Disney. Every character has to be non-binary, gay, transsexual. I mean, when I think of the witches conversing, maybe there is a bit of a lesbian vibe to that. But yeah, I can definitely see how that might be the case. But this whole thing is just ridiculous. She said that she thinks this because in the original text, queer is the most prominent word. Now, queer didn't mean what it used to mean back then. I mean, is she that delusional? I think the Ozempic has travelled right up into her brain. It's completely, pretty much. I don't think it works anymore. And I just think that this is signalling that we can't actually have any sort of, I mean, this is meant to be a film for children.
It is.
We can't have anything for children without having some sort of sexual BDSM component to it. Where we talk about...
Are they wearing cod pieces or anything like that? Leather ones.
Exactly.
I mean, what's going on?
Why does sexuality even come into this? It's the world has gone mad.
It has. Let's have a look at the Wicked stars talking about this, because they're claiming that some of the animals might be gay as well, I think.
Every day in the Emerald City is a pride parade.
Oh my God,
right?
yeah.
I mean, look at
That's actually great.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Even like the chickens. Those
the snow
chickens
leopard with
are
the little
gay.
cape.
Chickens are gay, apparently.
I think we've let the mentally ill take over.
We really have.
Hollywood and politics and many other institutions.
Chickens are gay?
Chickens are gay chickens, yeah.
Are they the ones that are with a or not?
I don't know, actually. Good question.
Homosexuality runs through all walks of life.
Why does it have to be made?
And in the
Why
Wizard
does
of...
it? Why is it a
But
problem?
why is it a thing? Because, I mean,
Why
let's
do we
face it.
still have anything to do with countries who make homosexuality illegal?
Yeah.
Why do we still give them money?
I don't.
Why do we talk to them?
He's
we
on
should,
today.
right?
He's running for
Crikey.
president,
No,
isn't he?
you're calm down, James. All right, let's have another look at some of the more,
more of those
ridiculous
drugs.
claims from the wicked crowd.
I love my queer brothers and sisters so much, more than anything.
We love you back.
Oz is a very queer place and
I
has
think
always
so,
been.
yeah.
Even from the L. Frank
Very
Baum
much.
books, it's always been queer.
Yeah, I think so, for sure.
Gay.
Hey,
Yes.
we'll take it.
You can
Gay?
identify as queer if you wish.
Right.
People
okay.
do. People do. But
No, I
let
don't
me ask
feel
you,
that
Back in the
because
day,
you...
queer meant weird, didn't it? I mean, that's
Yeah,
like,
just meant a bit odd,
strange,
yeah.
a little bit
Absolutely.
odd. And that's what it meant in the text. And because she's so dumb and stupid and
But we
calling
did
her the
also use, there
P-brain.
used to be a euphemism used, and
Oh,
most of
really?
you will be old enough, apart from Samara, maybe to remember it. Friends of Dorothy was
Well,
something
Friends
that
of
was
Dorothy
used
or
by
the
people
pink- the
who,
pink bus.
and because Dorothy, of course,
That's
was
another
in
one, the
was
pink
in the
bus.
original Wizard of Oz, was the character,
yes,
and
Judy
so
Garland.
people
Pink
who were
bus. That's another one.
flamboyant were called Friends of Dorothy's, and so I had gay friends who would go, "He's a friend of Dorothy's."
Yeah.
You know,
Is
and
that-
I'd
Was
kind
that
of-
your gaydar on?
and that was with the my gaydar's hopeless, by the way. But I mean, that's what I when I would
know,
hang around.
darling.
Yes.
Did you hear the other term that apparently refers to homosexual people that's also been banned this week?
What's that?
A Leonard. I'd never heard of
Leonard?
it. A Leonard.
Really?
And I didn't know what
What,
it
as
was.
in
But
Leonard
apparently
Nimoy?
it comes from the Catherine Tate show and the character Leonard.
Really?
Who definitely isn't gay, but purports, well...
I see.
Karen?
I think I sense that we've sort of lost the thread
Karen's
somehow.
Yeah.
Karen is offensive.
Yeah.
Just like-
Well, listen. Don't
Why
worry.
is
We're going to
Karen
come back.
offensive?
We're going to come back in a minute because it's do they know it's Christmas coming up very soon. Band-Aid is going to make its plank of the week, as are the British Transport Police. It's all coming next.
Karen.
Welcome back to Plank of the Week. I'm Mike Graham, and we are here, of course, for your delectation. We're halfway through the show, practically, but not quite. And it's my turn for my first nomination. And I'm delighted to say that I've decided to nominate Band-Aid. The entire thing of Band-Aid, right? Because Bob Geldof is extremely annoying, and I'm not sure if I've ever had him as a Plank of the Week.
You're nominating the whole 40
So I'm sort of
years.
nominating the whole idea of Band-Aid, right? Because this week it's been in the news because Ed Sheeran, you know, who's a very successful star in his own right, recorded for Band-Aid a new version of Band-Aid back in 2014. And they've just now released yet another new version of it, which they keep doing. And he came out and said that he really wished that they hadn't used his voice this time because it's kind of patronising to the people of Africa. And so, of course, remember when the Band-Aid first song came out? I think it's 40 years ago, believe it or not.
84?
1984.
It's his 40th
Midge Ure was there,
anniversary, yeah.
you know, Bob Geldof was there, George Michael, they were all there, you know, amazing sort of thing that they did together. And I thought it was a great song. I think most people did. But it's now being ripped apart and ripped asunder by people because when some of the lines in it, like, where nothing ever grows, they go, well, that's not true, is it? Things do grow in Africa. Well, it doesn't matter, does it? They've raised a load of money for the Ethiopians and they went and still continue to have a famine for the next 30 years anyway. But I have a clip from, this is Fuse ODG.
What?
Fuse ODG.
It's a person, Jeremy.
I think that's how you say
Sounds like a disease.
yeah, anyway, this is what he's got to say about Band-Aid.
I think it's done more bad than good.
Band-Aid has done more bad than good.
More bad than good because
it's raised tens of millions of pounds.
and it's also cost us in trillions. I'll give one example.
Please, yeah.
I'll give one example.
Yeah.
Because of the image, the negative images that's been portrayed of the continent, Africa is seen as a high-risk profile. And as a result of that, we get high interest rate on our sovereign debts. Right? It's costing us 3.2 billion every year.
Well, do you know, we pay that kind of sovereign debt level of interest as well. It's nothing to do with being in Africa.
He thinks because of a song or two,
Yeah.
that is what characterises Africa as kind of not being quite as efficient economically as Western countries.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that.
No.
I think it's the fact that they are just economically inefficient.
Yes.
And in some places they can't
And doesn't
grow
it
things.
say
It's
Yeah.
a bit ungrateful.
It's also quite a lot of corruption
I
in
think
certain
that's
African
the point.
countries.
I think he's got a point.
I do too.
Yeah, I think he's got a
Yeah,
point. I mean,
I
we
do.
don't need to be shoveling money over to Africa. Ethiopia is one of the fastest growing economies
Yeah, but it's
in
a
the
charity.
That's
Well,
not
you might as
his
well.
reason.
Well, hang on.
His
You might as well
reason is
say.
degrading.
Well, then you
Just
might.
because
Well, hang on.
it's for charity doesn't mean it's right.
No, but you might as well
Yeah.
say Oxfam shouldn't be there either. Then.
They shouldn't.
Okay.
Because
well,
of the way they behave.
I
And the
get
way
that.
you're right.
No, I think Oxfam is an embarrassment. to
I
be
agree
honest
with that.
you.
But
It
it
is.
doesn't mean
Massive
that,
scandals
no, but it doesn't mean that you don't give people charity, does it?
No, of course you can, but local charities where you know where the
not
money
trying to
goes.
override the legend, but
Darling,
is it
it's
not
fine.
just symptomatic of the fact that even a gesture, I am with you, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, change it, everybody gets politically correct. It was an amazing thing that they did and raised money because there were people starving and everybody came together.
I agree.
Probably it's been rehashed a few times, but people like him, there'll always be a reason. This was wrong, that was wrong. It was probably born out of quite nice sentiment.
But he's also probably
ago.
the same guy that is advocating slavery reparations do go towards Africa. They can't have it both ways.
No, they're not having no reparations. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
He'll be advocating for it.
But I have a problem with some of these huge charities. And I think to a certain extent, putting these photographs of starving people in Africa out is actually undermining the progress that a lot of Africa has actually made. So 40 years ago, I was there on the radio championing, Banda, playing the record and everything else. Here we are 40 years later on. Maybe some of the clips should be a bit different.
And also the other line, that they don't like is, do they know it's Christmas? Or there won't be snow in Africa this Christmas. Well, there never is. It's that kind of thing. But have a look. Hang on, we got Bob Geldof.
Have they taken that out?
No, I don't know. I don't think so. Bob Geldof here.
Hundreds of thousands of people are alive, probably millions, because of this. That negates every single argument I've ever heard.
Aren't you exhausted, Bob?
Yeah, and it's boring too, is the truth.
You'd think he'd dress up, wouldn't you?
That is him dressed up.
Oh, sorry.
I always thought, this is quite contentious, but I always thought with the original amount of money, I thought it was amazing. I'm like you, I thought it was great. Would it have been better spent instead of just feeding, and I'm being completely serious, but would irrigation techniques to make them self-sufficient? I don't know, because the problems in Africa will remain. But
it's the old teach a man to fish conversation.
Yeah, but it's just that bloke, I think he should just go, it might be a bit rehashed, but we were all trying to do something nice 40 years ago.
The problem with these big charities is the money tends to go to the government of the country.
It's also more about
where the money goes.
It's more about the celebrities. They love getting involved with little causes to do with Africa, but when it's about pensioners freezing, they don't want to have a bar of it. And I think it's just we're not these white knight saviours that we think we once were, and I think just celebrities need to. Well, okay.
I wonder how much the 150 million quid has gone to
Sorry?
dictators' wives' shoe collections and private jets and palaces.
Funny enough, just as you said the word white saviour, it came up on my phone as a news alert. White saviours and warlords inside the Band-Aid backlash.
Oh, really? There you go. It's as if I'm editorialising everything.
Summoned it up.
Yeah, exactly. But that's
finally,
what it is.
now, we obviously are a very poor organisation here, and we can't afford to play you the Band-Aid song. Because we'd have to pay loads of money.
I'll sing
for
it.
Yeah. No, we've got better than that. We've got a version of it from Stars in Their Eyes. Have a look at this.
There's a world outside your window. It's a world of bread and peace, where the only water's flowing is the bitter sting of tears. And the Christmas bells are in there, are the clanging chimes. Well, tonight, thank God it's well, instead of the world.
Now you know why that's the free version.
Can I say that there were many occasions in my career when I remember, but most of all when I was on ITV, when I first went to Manchester, my dressing room was directly opposite the door they went through and said, "Tonight, Matthew, I'd be." Stars in Their Eyes was some show, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Did you ever
it
go
was.
through it?
It was.
Pretend to be somebody else.
No. But
No.
anyway.
It is one of those great shows.
Yeah, television.
That used to go. So now it's time for the next version of events from Jeremy Carr.
Very quickly from me, actually, just another proof of how
Did
great
you say
a woman.
very quickly from you?
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Right, very quickly. I'm going to make it less than 1 minute. From you. Anyway, right, we're having an argument. J.K. Rowling, who I think deserves huge credit, pointing out this week, the British Transport Police have allowed transgender officers to strip search women. Officers must have a gender recognition certificate, but if that's it... So we're back to the whole Isla Bryson thing in the prison in Scotland, tight-legged.
Can you get one of those from Timpson?
But you can see her nuts, right? Let's be perfectly honest.
Can you get one of those certificates from Timpson?
I think you probably can.
But you get your keys done and kind of, by the way, a gender recognition
I want to ask a lady. I want to ask a woman. That's ridiculous. A bloke that is still a bloke who might be transitioning is all right to go and strip search a woman. Surely all women agree that that's completely out of order.
Yeah, I wouldn't say yes to that. I mean, I was in my gym a couple of weeks ago and there was someone who I guess identifies as a female, but I could clearly see it was a male and I felt really uncomfortable. And I think that, we start to just really push the envelope on these things and then it will go the full pelt at some point. And I think that's where it's heading.
Gym or changing room?
Well, it was the changing room in the gym, yeah. And and I'm thinking, oh wait, I can't complain about this because I'll probably get kicked out of the gym if I do because I'm going to be
why should
labelled
your
as a
voice be
transphobe.
heard as much as the transgender
well, that's
community?
what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
understand it. Male toilets, female toilets, transgender toilets. But to put women in that position is bloody ludicrous for ideology.
But also, how do you know if you are a woman and a police officer stops you and says, I'm going to search you because I have reason to believe you're carrying contraband or whatever it is that they're going to do?
You have to strip search at the station.
But how do you know that individual officer is a trans woman or a woman? I mean, how do you know?
Because they've got a penis?
No, I know, but they're not naked. You're naked.
But they've got to take you to the station, so
Right.
they will presumably
Yes.
If they demonstrate their gender credentials by showing their penis, you've really got a problem.
I think so. No, my point is that you wouldn't know, would you? No. Necessarily. So, I guess what I'm saying is you could be being searched by somebody who you believe to be a woman who actually isn't.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I just think that, look, the track record, I'm sorry, men, but the track record of men just goes to show that we can't feel safe while we're being stripped searched. Just someone who's got a penis.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like a weapon sometimes for some women.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just, I really don't feel comfortable that these rules are getting ratified because, as I said, it's a slippery slope and we just don't know how far we're going to go in that direction where there's just this weird fluidity and no sort of social norms of where we can feel safe. And men and women's spaces, they're not a sacred thing anymore.
Exactly,
So,
exactly right. Now, before we go to James for your next one, have a look at this little news item because it will refresh everybody's memory.
It was a walk which began with so much hope. Now, a tarnished legacy. Hannah and Colin Ingram Moore constructed an unauthorised Captain Tom Foundation building beside their home, with a pool and a home cinema. The Commission criticised the family's decision to keep the profits from Captain Tom's 3 books.
This woman, Hannah Ingram Moore, possibly one of the most hated women in Britain now because her father, Captain Tom, did an amazing thing, walked and walked and walked and walked, and as they say, walked lengths of the garden so she could swim lengths of a swimming pool, which they built with the proceeds of all the money that he was collecting. Quite remarkable, right?
He is a remarkable man, and the plank is not for him. It is for his daughter.
Grasping daughter, yes.
And, you know, you're absolutely right. And this is why so much attention has to be focused on charities. Because sometimes, you know, they might have actually felt that they were entitled to do that, to run the... I don't know. But they must be the thickest, most stupid couple in this country at the moment.
Yeah.
Because
and also
what they have done is ruined that man's reputation and his historical prowess when people look back on him in the future.
Was a tea leaf, and I actually think she should go to prison.
Well, some people think that, right? Now, according to Penguin, I think it was, who gave her the book advance, £1.5 million, which all disappeared, nobody quite knows where. They've actually said, you know, we don't think this is a case of fraud, we just think it's a case of poor morals. And they're not asking for the money back, because the book, I think, was written and the book was published, so... As far as they're concerned, I suppose they made the money back.
Don't your morals determine how you judge something?
But I would have thought
stupid.
so. But it seems to me that, I mean, again, we can't say because, you know, there are legal reasons why you can't accuse people of things, but it seems to me if all of this money was solicited under false pretences, there surely must be some, you know, payback that needs to come from them, doesn't it?
The fact is that the people that have donated, whether they bought the book or they've donated to the charity, have done so on the basis that it was going to benefit the foundation, not the daughter and her swimming habits.
Well, she and her husband gave an interview, if you remember, to Piers Morgan, in which he asked them specifically about an appearance fee that she was given, and I think it was £18,000 of an appearance fee, of which she kept for herself.
Are you getting £18,000 today?
Yeah.
And she said this was a deal that was already in existence, I think, from Virgin Media for anything that she did, right? But instead of giving the £18,000 to charity, which is what was meant to happen, she kept £16,000 of it and gave £2,000 to charity.
She's not stupid anyway. The woman is stupid. She deserves to be Plank of the Year, not just Plank of the Week. And her husband.
Well, it's tough, isn't it, up against Keir Starmer, though? Do you think she's better than him?
Oh, now you see. And then Sadiq Khan. And
Sadiq Khan.
I think it's a cautionary tale against actually assisted dying. I think this reveals a lot about how families think and if the bill gets passed. I'm not saying that whole situation was assisted dying, but a lot of families are very hungry for money, especially if you're a wealthy veteran or boomer, you know.
Absolutely
we could see this happening.
I'm a boomer, apparently, I was told this week.
Yes, I think that's right. You
Yeah,
would be.
and
I don't know what
am.
that means.
It means
So am I.
apparently we're very
You're
lucky and
basically
very
born
wealthy.
between certain years, so it means that you would be over 50-something. I think you're probably the bottom end of it.
Are you the bottom end of it?
Bottom
I'm
end of
always at the arse end.
Bottom end of it. Right,
be at the
coming
top
up,
end then,
we're going to talk about the University of Leicester, and we're also going to talk about the Supreme Court with more madness of a gender variety. This is Plank of the Week. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. Russell Quirk. I don't know if you got props for this one. I'm sort of hoping you have.
Oh, God, he's like a kid's entertainer.
Props are really important. Well, you know, following the whole Andy Peters thing.
Yeah.
Kind of lower the tone
Have you got
down
a
to
broom cupboard?
Andy Peters-esque.
Yeah.
Plank of the Week.
I can't tell you what he has got under.
So this is stop looking. So this is the UK Supreme Court, who now have made it their business and are taking up lots of time, money and resource, which of course we're ultimately paying for, to decide what a woman is. Keir Starmer, take note, by the way. So this is an action that's been brought as a consequence of the Scottish Government saying that you can actually just have a certificate and decide whatever you want to be. So if you want a recognition certificate that shows you're a koala bear or something, you can have that.
How long have we had these things? I mean,
Well, I know.
it's one of those phrases that we hear all the time.
But
about gender recognition.
there's a good bit to this, which
Right.
is that a women's rights group has said, OK, well, look, we're going to take the Scottish Government to court. That's why it's being held in the Supreme Court as a hearing for the adjudication to decide what a woman is,
Right.
on the basis that if you can just have a gender recognition certificate, it means that you can, as Samara was saying just now, you can hold up your certificate as a man, you know, in your Speedos, and your flip-flops or whatever, and just walk into Samara's changing room. It's a very easy thing to do, really. Which
Here
is
we
this.
go.
James, could you just hold that up?
It's like Strictly, this show, isn't it?
And Samara...
Oh, all right.
you know.
All right. Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh. There we go.
You haven't got any.
So may I just...
Nothing for Jeremy.
Well, he's kind of a bit in the middle, isn't he?
Yeah.
Can I...
What of this?
So can I just humbly suggest
Yeah.
Supreme Court justices, just check this out. Woman, man, case closed. Done.
Okay.
Hang on. Why is she XX and I'm XY?
Those are the chromosomes that you have.
So
That-
men have a female.
But then you'll be a woman.
But do men have a female and a male?
Nowadays, I could just give you this pretty much, and there you go. You identify
Now
as a
you are.
woman, James.
Well, according to the Scottish Government, now you're a woman. Now you're a woman.
You're a woman.
Right.
You're a woman.
Oh my God, the power I feel right now.
You're in Speedos in a female toilet.
I didn't seek to confuse things. I sought to just help
Can I
the
go to the
Supreme
men's
Court.
change room?
Also,
worse than before.
has it not got to a ridiculous point when you need to go to seek legal guidance and counsel
What a woman is.
as to what a woman actually
But
is?
when
We
you're
now need a
applying for a
different
job-
And what would be
legal
fascinating-
definition.
I know, James, that you have friends who've transitioned. I also have two friends that have done that. But they actually even sort of scorn upon the fact that, you know, becoming a woman has meant something so superficial now. It's not actually what it used to be.
Yeah.
And all old school feminists are being absolutely ripped apart for saying, no, you're encroaching on my rights.
It's about women's rights.
Yeah,
Well, it's about women's rights, but it's also not about. It's about diminishing a female to, you know, a couple of different things that are on the surface.
Imagine if now saying things like RuPaul's Drag Race find offensive. I don't find it very funny. It's not entertaining. I find, you know, the dames in pantomime funny.
Oh, no,
But
you don't.
oh, yes, I do.
Can you imagine, though, if this applied in any other field of life? For example, if you just went across
Ugly
to America
Sisters.
and said, look, I've got this certificate that I bought from Timpson's and it says I'm an American.
Why Timpson's?
So just because they sell everything there, you know, keys, batteries, you know, it's one of those...
And you can get a job there if you're a criminal.
And you can if you're a criminal, yeah. Key cutting, great idea, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so...
Mate, that's
you know,
the best I've heard today.
I know. No, I've said it many times before. But the
love
point
that.
is that you couldn't just walk into a country and declare yourself to be a citizen of that country. Same way you shouldn't be able to walk into a women's changing room and just declare yourself to be a woman just because you fancy it.
Exactly.
Precisely. There are certain requirements that you need to meet, say, for American citizenship and for being a actual female, biological female, that should be respected. And there's no respect anymore.
Well, let's see what the Supreme Court holds, but I suspect we're going to end up with a very, very stupid decision.
You'll get a sort of Starmer-like definition, won't you?
If, but on this day,
99.1% of women are women. The other 0.9% are also women, just with a cock.
It'll be an independent outcome.
Anyway, let's have a look at an explanation, because we found somebody to explain what a woman is.
Excellent.
Have a look.
Thank goodness.
So what is this right here?
The pelvis. It's the only bone in the body that's gender specific, which means it's different in boys and girls.
Is it?
Yes. The pelvis's job to protect the organs used for digesting and reproduction, which means throwing babies.
She's free.
She should be our equality minister.
Exactly. She knows the answer.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
She does, but the Supreme Court might not.
No. Yeah. Let's have a look at Julie Hartley-Brewer, who's also definitely a woman. Talking to Helen Joyce, who's also a woman, I believe.
We've still got a Prime Minister who thinks that 0.1% of women have a penis. I mean, Claire and I have already done our check today. Have you checked whether you've grown yours today yet, Helen?
Well, online they do love to say, how do you know? Have you ever checked your chromosomes? I've given birth twice, so I can be pretty sure.
I'm going out on a limb here.
Chromosomes.
I think you're solid on that one.
It is ridiculous, though, isn't it? Absolute madness. Absolute madness.
Well, the institutions just stop gaslighting us because it just makes women look crazy that they have to even go on and say that.
I know. Absolutely ridiculous. Samara, over to you. University of Leicester.
Yeah, this is actually a talk exclusive. Black people, black students, can have free swimming lessons.
It's a bit discriminatory, isn't it?
It is. First of all, it's discriminatory. I mean, it's kind of harkening back to
Should we just call it what it is, which is racist?
Yeah.
Well, if you changed a couple of the words, you could be looking at a 1950s swimming notice at one of the American pools when they used to have
Separate
full-on
buses.
separate buses, separate swimming times.
Yeah.
Exactly. They didn't want to share. But my bigger issue with this is that we always think in this country along the lines of race, and really we should be thinking along the lines of economics.
Yeah.
There are a lot of white people that don't know how to swim. It's actually more of a poor versus rich people thing, swimming.
Right.
And if they had just opened up this class to everyone, then they could have actually gotten rid of that. I mean, the highest household income earners in this country are Indians.
Yeah.
Then second, Asians. Then third, white people.
Right.
So we don't actually have a racism problem that much in this country, so to speak. Yeah, we have a money problem. We have a class problem.
Maybe we could open up old Hannah Ingram-Moore's pool, because I remember she actually said as part of her defence that it was originally built for the community.
But how did the University of Leicester think that white people being in the pool stopped black people attending stroke swimming?
I don't know.
Stroke, see what you did there.
See what you did there, breaststroke.
But, the thing about universities is, A, they say they're going broke, and B, they're full of left-wing extremists trying to spread their most ridiculous, stupid ideas.
Well, you're exactly right, James. They would have been high-fiving and slapping each other on the back when they came up with this idea. They would have been like, oh, this is great. This is so inclusive. This is unifying everyone. It's not true. It's completely segregated everyone.
Next year, University of Leicester, black-only students. No whites allowed.
Yeah. Well, we've already seen that, haven't we? We've seen job offers now being made to people from
Shows
the BBC.
in the West End.
Yep. Shows in the West End.
BBC adverts.
No admittance if you're white. Don't bother applying for this job because it needs to be somebody from
Everybody should be treated fairly.
Equally.
And
It's
now
called
we're
equality.
just going over the top the other way.
We're
that
over-egging.
If you're particularly a middle-aged white person, you are probably, you can be insulted in any way, shape or form.
And or cancelled.
It's not even fair on black people because then it makes it look like they got there because of their race, and it actually discounts their experience and them getting there in the first place. So it's helping no one. And
But I always think in these circumstances, the best way to treat it is to look at it as if it was the other way around, and if it said whites only for swimming. And can you imagine what the uproar would be?
There would be.
You're not allowed in here unless you're white.
Imagine Lewis Goodall and John
okay.
Sopel. They'd absolutely explode, wouldn't they?
Yeah, there'd be no University of Leicester, that's for
Are you
sure.
a good swimmer, Jeremy?
No.
Really?
No, I'm not a very good swimmer. I mean, I'm all right. No, I'm all right.
We back to the
live near the
Speedos
sea.
again.
I do live by the
He lives near the sea, but didn't go in it
Back
though,
to the
because it's too
Speedos.
cold. It's also full of sewage, probably.
Well, you wouldn't be allowed to take part in a free lesson, Jeremy.
No, exactly right.
You wouldn't be allowed to take part in a free lesson, unfortunately.
No.
So.
Anyway,
Speedos,
listen,
get in the water.
Yeah. We're nearly at the end of the show. Coming back very shortly, I'm going to be nominating the leader, so-called, of the Liberal Democrats.
Who?
Mr. Ed Davey.
Who?
Ed Davey. He's coming next. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We are very nearly at the end of it and the final furlong. I'll have to decide who's going to win it. Now, under normal circumstances, about 4 of these nominations would win it outright, because there's just so many good planks these days. Ed Davey, you might remember, during Ed Davey, this is some kind of running joke. During the election campaign...
Do you? You never hear...
All you ever saw is the bloody pantomime outfit. He won
saw him,
72 seats.
You saw him on a roller coaster. You saw him on a paddleboard
And what
falling
about the
into
car
the
as
water.
a Grease character at the end, driving off? Do you remember that?
Oh, I don't remember
These
that
days
one.
are mine.
Yeah.
And he got 70 MPs.
72 MPs.
Well, the one thing the Lib Dems were very good at was targeting particular seats and making sure that people tactically voted to get them more seats, because they got less votes and less votes in numbers than Reform.
Yeah.
But they got loads more seats. But he was sort of famous during the election campaign, wasn't he? He just was falling about, falling into things, falling into water, falling out.
Trolling us.
Just ridiculous stuff, right? Now, he's obviously worked out since the election that nobody's paid much attention to him. So he started doing it again, right? And because Christmas is coming, have a look at this.
Are you asking me to step in?
What?
Are you asking me to step in?
I don't know what he's doing there. He's in a Christmas
That's
jumper.
embarrassing.
It's really embarrassing. There's another one that he did. I don't know if we've got that, Chuck, but it's the one of him down at College Green where he's pretending to run and fall over like a clown in a circus. It's just ridiculous. I don't know what he's doing.
Do you know what was delightful, though? I went to the farmers' protest a few days ago.
Yeah.
He was there on the stage making a speech alongside Kimmy Badenoch and Jeremy Clarkson.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he walked onto the stage, started speaking, got booed.
Oh, brilliant.
Which was fabulous. Yeah, got booed. Because he was there as an opportunist, obviously.
Yes, of course. And, of course, I was talking to people, except if they're from the post office, because he could have talked to people when he was running the post office.
Very true.
When he was in the coalition government. But he didn't do it, did he?
Didn't do that, no.
But, it's a worry. This man could, I suppose, under a strange situation, become a prime minister. I don't think he will.
Kingmaker.
I think the toolmaker he is.
No, a kingmaker, he said.
Oh, a kingmaker. I'm sorry, my ears. You get understand why?
The other one's a toolmaker.
Can I make this
maker of
point?
tools.
Please
Or
do.
not? Yes.
Please.
The problem is the man he's ineffectual. And there is no point to liberal democracy.
No.
What does it mean?
He's an idiot.
What does it do?
He's an idiot. The one thing that
Absolutely.
they had, which separated them from every other party at the last election, was the fact that they want to rejoin the European Union. But they didn't mention it. They didn't put it in their manifesto. They all want to do it. They all love to be part of the EU again. But they didn't sort of campaign on it, which seems to me to be a bit of a lost opportunity.
Party.
They are pointless, but they're big in your neck of the woods, down in the old West Country down there.
Are they?
Yeah. They love the West Country.
Get involved with this.
No.
Maybe we should also have put in Plank of the Week any local authority who has banned the word Christmas.
Yes. I mean, I don't know of any...
mistletoe kissing I did this week. That's banned because it could be misogynistic and be taken the wrong way.
Yeah, but, I saw that story and I thought, nobody kisses...
We used to photocopy our houses and send pictures around the office. What's the matter at the
That was in the
Christmas
old
party?
building, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. Yes, Michael, that's the old days.
Cameras on every floor in those days.
You were there.
Yeah, but I didn't let you take pictures of my...
No, you took them of ours.
No, I certainly did
There were some
not.
terrible things that used to happen in that old building, but I'm not going to go there, down in the basement particularly.
Jeez, I
didn't
missed
know
out.
that basement.
Well, you never went down the basement?
No.
Blimey.
I went on the roof.
If you did go down the basement, you were lucky to get back up.
You certainly were. Anyway,
Anyway,
perhaps
so we're nearly done,
for another time. I'm not going to give anybody's. I'm not going to give anybody's identities away. That would be wrong. Entirely wrong.
Come on, Joseph, crack on.
We've got to decide. Keir Starmer, very good. Sadiq Khan, also very good. I quite like Band-Aid, but again, I don't like to give it to myself.
I do like Banda.
And I mean, I don't know. I think it's between those three, isn't it?
I like
Starmer,
the food thing.
Sadiq Khan.
I just think so.
You like
It
Sadiq
is
Khan?
preposterous.
He hasn't been banned for a while.
Do you know what I mean? You can't have butter and you can't have jam. He's an idiot.
But you can advertise suicide.
But you can advertise. It's unbelievable,
I
isn't
think
it?
you should. I think Sadiq Khan is an embarrassment. And we have in the capital of this country a mayor who talks rubbish, and we have a prime minister of the country also based in London who talks rubbish also.
But we've got you and you don't.
Thank you, darling. Is there really any reason why these two people are now in such positions of no?
Why don't you do what the man has just... Why don't you do, for the first time ever,
What?
still upset, Chuck, split it?
What? Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan.
Double plank.
It's never been done.
Well, they are two peas in a pod.
They are
never
two
been
planks
done.
in a pod, aren't they?
They are indeed.
It's never been done.
All right, don't do
I
it.
don't think we can do that. I don't think it's allowed.
I think it
You know what?
spoils the
Keir
institution.
Starmer. No, he says. Chuck says we can't do that. No,
Really?
we can't do that.
Well,
I'm
that's a
going
bit-
to. All right, tell you what, because it's. I think we had Starmer last week, so we'll go with Sadiq Khan, shall we?
Yeah.
Play of the week, Sadiq Khan. There you go. Thank you very much indeed to Jeremy. Thank you to Samara. Thank you to Russell. Thank you to James. We'll see you same time next week for Plank of the Week.